Hello, this is Brielle, and I am going to talk about my research project. I am a first grade teacher, so when I was thinking about my project, I knew I wanted to work on something that would benefit my students. I started thinking about an area in reading where I knew my students were struggling and would benefit most from an intervention. I came up with story retelling. I used this retelling rubric as well as an interview to assess student needs in my needs assessment. Through my needs assessment, I saw that a story retelling intervention was needed. All 5 students tested scored 0 to 6 points, interpreting to a needs work total score. Here are the scores of the 5 students in my research. Student 1 scored 6 total points with a 2 as their level of prompting. The types of questions that were used as prompting questions were: what happened next? Did anything happen after that? Is that all that happened? And things of that nature. Student 2 scored 1 total point with two points as their level of prompting. Student 3 scored 5 total points with 2 points as their level of prompting. Student 4 scored 4 points with 2 points as their level of prompting. And student 5 scored 4 points with 3 points as their level of prompting. The 4 main story elements are character, setting, problem, and solution. Through my needs analysis, I saw that these 5 students are not aware of these elements and were not using them in their retellings, thus leading to inaccurate retellings of that fiction story. As a result, I plan to study story mapping as a tool to differentiate instruction to meet the needs of the struggling learner in my first grade classroom. In my research, I studied differentiated instruction, story mapping as a differentiation tool, and student motivation. I found a lot of research backing story mapping as a successful differentiation tool. Moving forward, I plan to use a story mapping intervention to show students how to use a story map to retell a story. The first part of my intervention will be teacher modeling of what a character is, what a setting is, what a problem is, and what a solution is. The second part of my intervention will be teacher modeling of how to identify a character, a setting, a problem, and a solution from a fiction story. The third part of my intervention will be teacher modeling of how to use a story map to retell a story. And the fourth part of my intervention will have students working on their own to identify characters, setting, problem, and solution using a story map, and then using that story map to retell a story with minimal teacher interaction. At the end of the intervention, I will use the previous retelling rubric and student interview, as well as this story map rubric to evaluate students and see if an improvement was made.